Hello guys and welcome back to Dragon Slayer Games, and today we are going to be talking about Club Conquest teams. So Club Conquest teams, it's a pretty broad topic because there's many teams you can make in this game, which is the great part of this game. There's so many options. But of course, there are specific teams that you can make that will make your experience in Club Conquest, not just for you, but for your entire team, more beneficial and just a lot more fun, because you're probably going to have teams that will stay there longer and stay there the best. Now, before we actually get into the teams, I'm going to give some tips about to think about when you're setting up these teams. I think the first tip I want to talk about is the relativeness of your club power and your team power and how that should correlate to the teams you do make. For instance, my club power, as you can see here, is 1.49 million. So we're in that upper tier of clubs. We do currently break the top 100 in terms of all the clubs in DSA. It doesn't mean much, but we do face some pretty powerful clubs. So I'm going to open up my defenses right here. And as you can see, really the only two viable defenses I currently have are these two. These two defenses are really the only ones that are going to do anything, because they're above 3,000 and they're pretty powerful, and we're fighting a lot of teams that are on average have players that have several 3,000 teams. So that these two are really only going to be the only ones that have any true relevance when we are fighting. And maybe this 2600 team, as we go in later into the rounds, that's probably going to be more beneficial. But the key is always synergy. That's what I always thought. And this is tip number 2. The key is always synergy if it makes sense for your team. I'd rather have a team of high power than a team of synergy with very low power. For instance, if I were to switch up this team a little bit here, let's just go to my Oceanics. If I were to make my Oceanics team over here, right? Let's just say I put Gantu, and I put Bubbles, and I put Moana, because he's the only people I have right now. And I have, let's see, what's his name? Gosh, Davy Jones, and I'll throw in Captain Jack. Great, this team has synergy. I know it's not the meta Oceanics team, I understand that. And here, I'll even put some spells just to boost them up a little bit. I'll put my higher spells up there. There we go. The team is 1800. That's gonna be a pretty good wash in the tank, honestly. No one's really gonna be fearing that. So there's no point for me putting this synergy team if no one's gonna fear it, and it's not gonna do anything except be a buffer. Now, there could be use to it at the very late stage if your teams are really going at it, and this is one of the stronger defenses you have out there. Okay, maybe. And then it's good to have this synergy team, but I guarantee you, and it's very rare it's gonna happen. So it's always relative. It's relative to what your team is. I would say if you're probably in the 700,000 club power and below, a 2500 team is going to be one of the more elite teams, or 3000 team is going to be one of the more elite teams out there. It's going to be a pretty strong defense, and it's going to be pretty good. But if you're above that 700,000 club power total, it's not going to be as effective, and I think you're better off putting teams that have more power than synergy per se. And of course, for a lot of us free to play players out there, we don't have the fat rosters where everyone is, tier 7, star level 7, and gear 7. It's not very common. Honestly, in most Club Conquest teams that we see, you're probably only going to face maybe 1, 2, or 3 players on the opposite club who have the resources to do that, if that makes sense. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'm calling out whales, okay? That's what I'm trying to say, in a nice way. But it's not going to be that common. So you have to keep that in mind as well. That relative to your team, of course, synergy is key in this game. I'm going to preach it all the time. But as I've played the last couple of weeks, I've realized my defenses were really weak. I had a lot of 1400, 1500, 1800 teams with synergy, but that doesn't mean much. Yes, if we go to these towers here with this mythical tower, for instance, yes, they have bonus health, they have offense up. That's great. But even if your team is like below 1500 and you're fighting against clubs who have club powers of over 1,000,000 and higher, the very likelihood that your defense is going to be used is very unlikely. For me, I'd rather have my defenses used than not used, because I feel like I'm contributing, if that makes sense. But of course, you got to be active when you do fight, of course, to contribute to the team. But I feel like if my defenses are going to be utilized, I feel like I'm putting more towards my team, if that makes sense, or my club. So that's my second tip, is to keep in mind, yes, synergy is essential, and look out for those spells for those teams to have a good synergy, but it's not always realistic. If you can create a team that's, let's say, 3,000 with not as much synergy, maybe it's a hybrid team, that's better than making a synergized team that's, subpar, if that makes sense. So I hope that's clear, and I think that's going to be really key, and I hope you guys really understand that and think about that, because now we're going to also talk about affiliate towers. And now, of course, you want to create your teams around these affiliate towers. And as you can see in these descriptions here, these are the different towers. I'm just going to scroll through them real quick. Sorry about that, touched the mic on accident. And you can see here, with the tech team, you have tech characters gain 25 bonus maximum health, 20% offense at the beginning of the battle with 2 attacks of counterattack, 20% chance per defending tech character for each character attacker to begin the battle inflicted with vulnerable. So if you have a full tech team, that means everyone on the field is going to be guaranteed starting with vulnerable. That effect makes you, I can't remember the exact terminology of it, but it's bad. Let's just say that. That's how the effect's going to work. So this is one of the, I would say that the tech tower is very effective and very hard to go against because of all these bonuses. And let's be honest, I don't think they necessarily need it. I think this tower needs to be reworked a little bit, but that's for another day. Now to tower number 2. Mythical characters gain 20% bonus maximum health and begin battle with offense up for 2 turns. So this is nothing crazy. It's just for instance, if you have Simba, it's kind of like that. And you do get offense up, though. I guess that's the only thing. So for the mythical tower, there's nothing too intimidating with this tower because there's not too much, not compared to tech tower. Now the Toy Story tower is a little different. Defending Toy Story characters gain 30% bonus maximum health, 20% offense, and begin the battle with haste for 2 turns and defense up for 2 turns. Defending Toy Story heroes begin the battle with guaranteed crit. So this is a very effective tower. I know a lot of people run into trouble here because of that bonus health and bonus offense, and also because they do get haste for the first 2 turns and defense up for first 2 turns. So keep that in mind. This is one of the more effective and also devastating towers at the same time. So be aware, this is a good tower to have a Toy Story team, obviously, and to have as many Toy Story characters on there as well. So on to the next tower. Defending onward characters gain 30% bonus health, 20% offense, 1 bonus magic for all abilities in start of turn. If defending team has an onward character, attackers begin the battle inflicted with helpful immunity for 2 turns. So that is going to be a pretty good tower. This is a pretty good tower. Obviously, you get the health boost, the offense boost, and also magic starts on the start of turn. They get bonus magic, and also the attackers will be inflicted with helpful immunity for 2 turns, which means they can't get any offense up, critical, shields, anything like that for 2 turns, which is going to be a big boost for you. And this is going to be very effective for the onward trio, and basically any good plug and play characters can be here. So I highly recommend you guys look for this onward team because they're going to be effective for this as well. On to our next one, Princess Towers. Princess gains 25% bonus maximum health, 20% offense, and begin the battle attackers for 2 turns. Now, I would like to say this tower would be good if there were princesses who weren't in each faction. So each faction, or each almost meta team, requires a certain princess to be a key player in that team. So I would say this is like one of the one of the worst towers, at least for affiliations, because you can't really make a team because all the characters in this faction specifically are used in other teams, used on better teams, and just being all princesses. So I think that the Glue's gonna have to figure this out. Maybe they need to add more princesses to focus solely on being a princess squad. But this is one of the ones I kind of ignore because there's no true place to put them. I guess the only good character to put here is going to be either a Frozen team and the Kingdom teams, because that's where you're going to use Jasmine or Anna and Elsa. So I think that's where they're going to be. I believe actually Elsa isn't considered a princess if I'm correct, but I know Anna is for sure. I hope I'm right. Anyways, our last tower is going to be the Oceanic Tower. Now, defending Oceanic characters gain 20% bonus maximum health and begin the battle with crit chance up for 2 turns. So this can be a pretty good tower. The health boost is always happy to see that, and also that crit chance up is also good as well. And it's gonna be I wouldn't say this is the scariest tower because there's no, for instance, offense up, and there's no defense up, and there's no haste. There's none of that bonuses that the characters get. They do get crit chance up, which is going to be interesting, but at least for, like, for instance, Gantu, in order to get him charged up effectively, it's going to take time, so it's not going to really affect Gantu too much. But other characters that might give them a boost, such as Davy Jones and Stitch and Moana, so that's also one thing to keep in mind there. But besides that, this is not the most intimidating affiliations tower. But of course, Oceanic teams are very intimidating, so keep that in mind as well. I don't think I have to say that again, but just to remind you guys, Oceanics are intimidating. So that's affiliations. You can see all the descriptions there. And now let's get into the teams and discuss which teams are effective and which teams I think are going to be worthwhile. So as you can see here are the teams. Now the teams, just to remind you guys, especially those who don't know how teams work, specifically in DSA, you can only use these characters once. So that means your teams are going to be very thinned out, and you might not be able to put players, your plug and play players, in every single team that you plug and play them with. They just find a specific team to put them in, and it might be a little bit of a challenge. So just keep that in mind as well. So with the first team, I think it's pretty obvious here. There's no like true surprise here. It's going to be the Frozen team. Now the Frozen team, you can keep the first 4 players on as Sven, Elsa, and Kristoff, and you can replace Olaf with pretty much any character you want. You can plug and play Big Bad Wolf, you can plug and play Scrooge, you can plug and play anyone really there if you don't want to use Olaf, but Olaf does give some good tactics to Elsa, so keep that in mind. But really, you could plug and play any other character in there and they'll be effective, probably more effective than Olaf. Just keep that in mind. You can put another tank, it might be effective as well. So that first team there's not much to explain there. I guess some good spells to put there would probably be Pete Shadow to get a Sven Pede, but besides that, that second spell could pretty much be anything except Snow Geese. The second team here is going to be the Oceanic team. Now the Oceanic team, as you can see here, has Gantu, Bubbles, Moana, Maui, and Stitch. This is the meta team basically. Now you want to use this team just as it is, and you could switch out some characters here. Really, you just want to keep this team as it is, or even maybe you want to plug and play here a Davy Jones, because he is pretty effective, pretty strong as well. He's been buffed up for sure, so you might want to put him in here for someone possibly. I don't want to. I know people are gonna get angry, but I don't know who exactly you want to put in there. But I think for the core of this team, you're gonna for sure need Bubbles, and you're gonna for sure need Gantu. So between the 3 other characters, the 3 Polynesian characters, you can choose which one you guys want to get rid of, and maybe possibly put in Davy Jones in there, because it's going to be a very effective Oceanic team, I think. Now, the third team. For the third team here, we have the Onward Trio, and you also have Judy Hopps and Big Bad Wolf. Now, Big Bad Wolf is going to be a good plug and play character, I would put Judy Hopps in there, just put out the slow. The Manticore and Barley do put out good effects, harmful effects on our enemy team, and she's a good tank as well, the Manticore. And Ian's special is a freaking crazy attack. It does so much damage with Barley's crit guaranteed that you might want to put another tank in here. Simba would be a good one. Now I didn't put Simba here this time because I just thought Big Bad Wolf would also be a good one here. Now remember, these teams are very flexible. You can choose whichever one you want to plug and play. These are just suggestions, and understand my suggestions are my thoughts, and my thoughts could be wrong, so just keep that in mind as well. So if you want to switch out, for instance, Big Bad Wolf or Judy Hopps and put in Simba, that's totally fine. One of the reasons why I do put Big Bad Wolf here is because I currently do have him at 7 stars and gear 7, so he does purge taunt, so that's why I like him in that team. And I think with this onward trio is just super strong, super legit, and I think they're kind of forgotten as a whole trio. And on to team number 4. So team number 4 is going to be your fear team. You have Big Baby, you have Chunk, you have Lotso, Zerg, and ironically you have Bo Peep here. Now I think most people are going to be confused why I have Bo Peep here. If you look at Bo Peep's leadership, she does have offense 20%. Now if you look at the Toy Story affiliations tower, it already gives you, I think, 30% speed and 20% offense bonus. So with another 20% offense, you're almost already at 150% offense. So that's going to mean Zerg is going to do a lot of damage. And actually, guys, Big Baby, I was shocked. I fought Big Baby recently on my stream, and Big Baby almost took out my Elsa in one shot. Big Baby is not to be forgotten. Yes, I know it's kind of a goofy character, but Big Baby should not be forgotten, and I think this is a great team, especially with that Bo Peep lead. She's going to give you that offense up, and even though there's not Toy Story heroes or all villains, it's okay. As long as it's Toy Story, they get that offense up, so keep that in mind. Now on to our 5th team is going to be the Kingdom team. Now you can put this Kingdom team, like I said earlier, in the Princess slot. Fortification Tower, just because for the fact that with Jasmine she's getting a little bonus, and really she's the only princess I think besides Anna that you're really going to be using anyways, so keep that in mind. Now with this team you can substitute Mickey for Jafar, but in this video I put Jafar with a continuous damage team, but you can put Mickey where Jafar is. Sorry, you can put Jafar where Mickey is, not the other way around. You can put Jafar where Mickey is, and just give that good Aladdin synergy, because if you watch my Aladdin team video, they have some good synergy, and he's just going to be a good powerhouse for that team, and get him up there in gear and everything like that, he'll be fine. Also, Foul Play is a good spell with this team, because a Foul Play does have some bonuses with the Aladdin team, so keep that in mind. Next is going to be Team 6, and Team 6 is going to be your continuous damage team. Now you can see here, it's a hodgepodge of characters. They all literally come from different factions except Hades and Sally, the only ones that are both from Mythical. Demona's from Downtown Villains, Jafar is from Kingdom, and Scar is from Wilds. Now you can understand Hades. Why is Hades here? Hades should be with Mythical. Now the Mythical Tower, like I said earlier, isn't not too intimidating, and really there's not too many mythical characters to use that aren't already taken by other towers or other teams, for instance. So that's why I put him here in the continuous damage. Also with Sally, and also Scar does some continuous damage, though you have to upgrade in his basic to tier 2. Demona does some continuous damage as a passive as well. Jafar also does continuous damage, so that's why I put these guys together. Yes, I know that they may not have the best base synergy, but they do have continuous damage. And if you've never been affected by continuous back-to-back continuous damage, it can literally just take out characters very passively. So keep that in mind, and that's why I put this team together. And also just keep guys in mind, the 1 through 10 here does not mean the rankings of how good these teams are. It's just how I got them on here and listed. They were in no specific order. and just keep that in mind as well. If you also want to change out a couple characters here, maybe you put Jafar with that Kingdom team, or maybe you want to put 80s with the Mythical team, go ahead and put Madam Mim in here. She's another great character. She does continuous damage. Well, she doesn't do continuous damage, but she does have a chance to extend harmful effects and also inflict random harmful effects that can include continuous damage. So keep that in mind. She's a good plug and play character here, as well as Shere Khan. Shere Khan does some good offensive damage, and he can put some continuous damage here as well. Now I know this team is technically lacking a tank, so you can find a tank. You could possibly put Simba in here and replace him with maybe Sally or Jafar, whatever you want to do, just if you want to have a tank on here as well. Like I said, Simba can technically fit in almost any of these teams, but it just really depends where you want to put him. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a specific team to fit in. He's just a really good plug and play character, but he does have a bonus 20% health in Club Conquest, so keep that in mind. As his leadership, he might be going to put here. Maybe replace him with Sally or Jafar, whichever you want to do. I would say put him there. Now, his 7th team is the meta tech team. I mean, there's not much to say here. Gogo does the damage, Wasabi does the damage, Honey Lemon does the support, Hero does his shields, and Baymax just squishy tanks. So keep that in mind. He's a support tank, that's what I would consider him. And there's no, I don't think I would have to say anything about this team. They are just legit, all I can say. Now number 8, the Incredibles team. This team used to be the meta back like in May, but now they've really fallen down in effectiveness. So you can always replace Jack and Violet with any other character you want. You can replace them with Gizmo, you can replace them with Fred at this point, Scrooge, whatever you want. That course is going to be the Mr. Incredible, Elastigirl, and Dash. That's going to be your trio, but if you want to keep them together intact, because they do have good synergy with each other, give it a shot. You know, they still have effectiveness together, but if you do choose to separate them, that's totally fine as well. Now onto this 9th team over here, we have a more modified, or what some people call like a tier 2 or the B team for the Oceanics. And at least now we do have a B team with the Oceanics. Before, we had 3 Oceanic characters that you could really play, and only 2 of them are on the field right now. Just keep that in mind. So for you new players, you guys are spoiled and lucky, because all I had before was Captain Hook, Ariel, Captain Jack, and Tinkerbell. Really, that was pretty much it. I think I'm missing one, but that's pretty much it. So you know, with this team is more for raids, I would consider, because obviously Eric and Triton are for raids, but for a B team Oceanic team, they're not going to be that bad. And she does give, well, I think Triton's leadership, I can't remember exactly, is more geared towards raids. You might want to use Ariel's lead that gives her gives her bonus health, so keep that in mind as well. There's not much to say about this team, but it might be a good plug and play team. And if you do switch out one of the Oceanics, for instance, in the A team version for Davy Jones, throw in someone in here, whoever you choose to do, and this B team could be a little bit better. And now on to number 10. So if you don't have Baymax, obviously use, this is kind of going backtracking a little bit. If you don't have Baymax, then obviously use Fred in that tech team, and you're gonna have to throw someone else in here from the tech team. Be Syndrome, it could be Calhoun, or if you want to throw Donald in here, because I think Sensational 6 is a pretty good team. So basically it's going to be almost a duck team, basically. And this team, there's not much to say about them. This is the B team of the tech team. Gizmo is still good, don't forget about that. And Scrooge is going to be as good as well. But the weak links here are going to be obviously Korra and Darkwing Duck. But if you do want to put in maybe Donald Duck in here and replace, if you have to push up Fred, or maybe you just want to put Donald Duck in here anyways and take out maybe Darkwing Duck or Quora, that's totally fine. And because he's going to be a bit of a tank, just a tiny bit, we're still learning how Sensational 6 works. I know the Duck team reviews so far have been pretty bad, so keep that in mind as well. But this is a team you can throw in there. Now remember, you only have 50, you can only do 50 characters total. You can only have 10 teams. So I've already run out a lot of characters because I've pushed them around to get good synergy, but also plug and plays as well. If you haven't used Big Bad Wolf, maybe put him in here. If you haven't used Simba, maybe put him here as well. I'm just thinking of other good plug and play characters, but that's pretty much it. That's what I can say about this team. If not, we'll go into other teams. If you don't want to use maybe number 9 and 10 down here, Ariel and that Duck team, maybe we can use other characters here as well. And if you don't want to use this Incredibles team, Dash is going to be great plug and play character as well to pretty much any of these other teams. Let's look at the 2 alternate teams over here. So we have a Mythicals team pretty much up here. You have Madam Mim, Oogie Boogie, Merlin. These are going to be your obviously mythical characters. Then you have Facilier, Shere Khan, just random characters really, more or less. But Shere Khan's going to be a good offensive character. Facilier is going to be able to heal your team and maybe put the frog out there and stop some people. And he's going to be a decent support character. Now that's not the strongest team, but it could be a pretty decent team from Mythical. Just keep that in mind. You have Merlin, Oogie Boogie, and Madam Mim. If you want to throw in more mythical characters, such as the Horn King or Jack, feel free to do that as well. But I don't recommend it. If you haven't used Hades yet, this might be a good team to put Hades in as well, and Sally. So if you want to do Sally and Hades in here as well, if you don't want to do the continuous damage team, you can plug them in here. Now, the second and final team down here as an alternate team is going to be Kingdom B. The Kingdom B team is going to be Sheriff Nottingham. You have Mulan, Robin Hood, Simba, and Gaston. Now, if you switch around characters and you still have Sorcerer's Mickey, you put him where Simba is, or put him where Gaston is. I think it's going to be most effective because Sorcerer's Mickey is still a very effective character. But if you want to go full Aladdin with a Shan Yu lead, that's what I would do. Now, if you don't know these characters too well, Robin Hood's going to be giving you the crit. Mulan's going to have some pretty good offense. Same thing with Sheriff Nottingham, he has some pretty good offense as well. Simba's going to be giving you the health. Gaston is going to be giving you, I believe, vulnerable or something like that. But you're going to have 2 tanks and 3 offensive characters. But if you switch out, for instance, Gaston or Simba and put in Sorcerer's Mickey, if you are using the A team with Jafar, put him in here and he'll be an effective Kingdom team as well. And actually it'll boost his team a lot because Sorcerer's Mickey is that powerful with his slow AoE and also his brooms and his basic, and he's a good assister as well. So with that said, guys, I hope that was helpful. I really do hope that was helpful. These are just some teams I do recommend. Now, of course, it's not set in stone. You can use whatever teams you want. It really is up to you. These are just ideas that you can have about what to use because each character, each team is different. And of course, there might be ways that will be better to put combinations here, or you might think of better combinations than me. And also, we don't know what characters are coming out in the next couple months. This could be an outdated guide by the time you watch this. And who knows, Sensational 6 with Mickey, Pluto, and Minnie may be a very effective team. They may be buffing some of these mythical teams, mythical characters. Who knows? Maybe the characters we come in the future. We'll totally watch these guys out. So just keep that in mind. These are not set in stone. These are my ideas, and these aren't perfect. And this is just a good basis of what you want to think about when making teams. And I hope you guys learn from it. I guess just to wrap up and follow up some tips, remember, synergy is great only when it's relative to your club power. So if you don't have those teams that have good synergy, but they have more power, I'd rather do more power than synergy if it's more relative to what you guys are doing. But of course, a powerful synergy trumps all and be better. So guys, that's going to wrap it up. If you guys haven't done it already, like and subscribe. Go to our Twitch. We have streams at least Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I sometimes do a stream on Saturdays, and sometimes on Sundays when we do Club Conquest. That's usually when I go all out on Club Conquest, is on Sundays in the afternoons, because that's when I find the most time to do Club Conquest. And also, if you're looking for a club, or please check out our club here. On the screen right now is going to be a postcard of our club. We have currently 7 teams, I believe, if I'm correct. We have 2 that are very high requirement teams. That's going to be Little Mermen and Titans of the Galaxy. Usually we have members in those teams at least 80 well, at least for Titans of the Galaxy, which I'm part of, usually we accept members around 80,000 or 100,000 above. And for Little Mermen, they're a little higher. They do require more, they do have more requirements than we do, just because their team is a little bit more powerful. We have Pride of the Galaxy, we have Colorado 303, we have Off the Wally, and there's one Starforge, I believe, correct. And we have another feeder team, but basically those other teams are part of our collective, and I hope I got all those right. There's a lot. When I started, there was only like 4 or 5 of us, 4 or 5 teams anyway, so it's changed a little bit. Anyways, guys, definitely check it out. Check out our Discord as well. I'm on Discord. Post some stuff there. I post stuff there frequently, my Photoshop journey and stuff like that, where I'm having fun making emotes and stuff like that on Photoshop. So keep that in mind, and definitely follow me there and on Twitter as well, guys. I know this outro is getting a little long. But anyways, guys, I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.